Anna Vocino, we're back in the kitchen, back in the podcast kitchen. We're cooking up an episode on food PTSD. I want to talk to you about food rules you had to unlearn based off of, stuff that you were doing previously in previous iterations of your life. And like, how do you got to this place right now where you're like more comfortable with food? You have a pretty good system in place.
I was the target age to be a teenager / college gal for low fat. I was the target market for the Snackwells. I was at my, I almost said spin class, but it wasn't spin yet. It was step aerobics. Okay. That's what we did.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Step aerobics. And if you were serious, you did a couple of blocks on the step. You know what I mean? You did a couple levels.
Yeah. You're like 3 or 4 minimum.
Yeah. Like you went to step class and you ate Snackwells, and it was more virtuous to have a bean and cheese burrito than a steak with broccoli.
Really?
Because the fat gram content was very, very hammered into us. How many grams of fat is that?
Isn't that so interesting? And now we look back on like the money that changed hands in order to demonize and vilify fat.
Yeah.
But like, I think like, so like, how long did it take you to get from a like fat is bad to like unlearn that and rewire your brain? Because I feel like, especially like with culture today, we are so hung up on black and white. Like, this is a good food, this is a bad food, this is a clean food, this is a dirty food. Like how did you go from being like fat is dirty to being like, actually fat is really important?
I think part of it was that we were slowly transitioning into the fat thing when they talk about good fats. Well, that's, the good fats. It's the good fats.
And what's the good fat? Name like, the good fat.
Avocado was always.
Yes, that's it. That's the good fat.
Especially because now we're out west and that's what everybody talks. Like you can have avocado, but it's like, if you're really watching your fat grams, you could have like maybe a bite of avocado. You know what I mean? Which is, who wants just a bite of avocado? And also you need some flavor in that avocado. So you need to put some salt in there, which they also said don't have salt. Mm-hmm. So it's like,
by the way, if anyone ever asks you, does this make me look fat? Don't say anything about avocados or good fats. That's just a pro tip for
does this make me
marital
look like
bliss.
The good kind of fat?
Babe, but you're like an avocado. It's good fat.
Yeah.
Don't say that. That is not received well.
No. One time in a Facebook group that I'm in, somebody got, the Facebook group got dinged because somebody was asking what to do with the bacon fat. Mm-hmm. Like, do you cook your eggs in it or whatever? And like the group got suspended because you're not supposed to say the word fat. Like it's still a thing. Well, I think in the context of this, they thought that somebody was fat shaming, but they were just saying like, hey, do you cook your eggs in the bacon fat? Like that's all they were saying. But so I think fat now has a completely different meaning than it used to, but it used to be the dietary fat thing it was a big concern, and everybody would memorize the fat grams. So how long did it take me to unfold it? Well, when I started podcasting with Vinny Tortorich in 2012, it kind of changed things. And I remember even then being like, if I'm going to buy dairy, it has to be low fat dairy, which is just low fat dairy is the saddest of foods.
Give me some of that skim milk. Give me that water milk.
I grew up drinking skim milk. So we could have as much Diet Coke or orange juice as we wanted. Mm-hmm. But if you had whole fat milk, you were probably going to die soon. So we had skim milk, and it was blue. Skim milk was blue. It had
like a light blue, like a pastel.
Yeah.
It's a color found in nature a lot.
In the light of a fridge in 1987, skim milk gave blue.
I had limited experiences with fridges in 1987. A lot of experience with milk, limited experience with fridges.
Yeah. Were you born in 1987?
I am. I'm turning 38 next Thursday.
You're a baby.
I know. Thank you so much. But I look old, so that's because of all the skim milk.
So that's cool. Thanks, universe.
So, I talked to all these guys who are like 52 and they have less gray in their beard than I do. I'm like, well, I'm blaming my family for that. Because you got to blame somebody.
You do. This is America.
But like, what do I do about these? Why? I've had these 11 since I was 13 years old.
Oh yeah. I call them the lines of hate. Because it just means you're pissed off at something. My natural face is just like, ugh.
No,
I think my
everyone's always like,
Botox
can you
is wearing
smile more? I'm
off.
like,
So
is this better? This is it?
yeah.
Yeah. So anyways,
So
how do
what did you learn? Because you're much younger than I am.
well,
I would probably be your babysitter, honestly.
well, I was like, when I kind of came into fitness and nutrition, like 2008, it was a lot of like carb demonization at that point.
Yes.
So
It still
like,
is, I feel like.
yeah, a little less so. We're kind of, I think we're coming back. I think we're going to come back to a little bit more of a low fat season. I'm predicting.
Oh, is the pendulum swinging?
Yeah. I think we're going to get more into like the bodybuilder type of lifestyle where everyone's eating a lot more rice, and low fat meats, that sort of thing. That's my prediction for the future. But it was like the carb demonization was real. And it was like,
Yeah.
people were telling their clients, trainers were telling their clients, don't eat fruit. Fruit is bad for you. Fruit will make you fat.
Oh, I still hear that. It's very common.
Yeah. And that's all, like, I think that is something that like I had to unlearn, where it's like, well, it's never been the fruit. The fruit has never been the problem. Maybe if you're having 4 bananas a day, it's probably going to impede you from losing
Sure.
as much weight as you want to lose. But I just don't think that someone's out there eating like a peach in the summer and they're like, that was it for me. That's pushing
Now I'm
me into
300
morbid
pounds.
obesity. Yeah. That's never happened in the history of the world.
Yeah,
Just like I feel like,
agree.
people talk about like red meat, like red meat is demonized. It's like, off and
It's
on.
still
Like,
very demonized.
but all the studies that show red meat being bad are all looking at like pizza and hamburgers. We're not looking
Right.
at red meat. We're looking at like red meat is a small portion of the whole meal, which is largely trash.
Yeah, trashy meal with fries and a bun
Uh-huh.
and the processed bun. I actually had the experience of, because I've been saying that red meat is great for decades now. And I had the experience of my brother-in-law mansplaining to me, hey, did you know that red meat's actually good for you and there's nutrients? And I had a visceral response that involved me cursing at him.
Mhm.
I felt bad afterwards, but I was like, I'm sorry. I've been saying this for a long time. And so for you to mansplain it back to me, I should be happy that the message is getting out there. But I felt in that moment not heard. So, I'm sorry.
Did you
I cussed at you.
mansplain back at him though?
No, I immediately told him to F off.
Okay. And that works too.
Yeah.
That is a good rebuttal for any sort of mansplaining. By the way, do you know what mansplaining means? I'll tell you. It means
It's when.
so it's like
Listen,
this, Anna.
sit tight. I'll tell you.
Just don't worry your pretty little head about it. Tell you later.
Just, and I'll tell you.
Oh man. So when did you realize that kind of like this like healthy diet, this low fat diet was actually hurting your body, hurting your brain, hurting your health overall?
Well, here's the thing. I didn't, because I was younger, and frankly, we were still into calorie counting too. Calorie counting was very big. And I guess when you're eating snack wells and the like, and all the processed foods that you're told are okay, but you're basically trying to gamify the system, right? Like the times that I did Weight Watchers, it was this whole trickery of, and this is before they changed Weight Watchers to be more carb based or low carb based. This is back when you were counting your calories and then you counted points, So I would do Weight Watchers, and it was like this whole trickery to like, okay, if I eat a trough of spinach today with a squeeze of a half a lemon, then later I can have a 2-inch square brownie, and then I've hit my points for the day. But I've had no protein. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
It's just figuring out how to gamify the system so you can still have the thing.
If it fits your macros, I feel like is the same thing. That's just like in kind of today's.
It's another version of that.
But and here's the thing about it. I think it's like on this spectrum of like fitness versus health. And I've worked with a lot of like fitness competitors, people who look great, very lean, lots of muscle. They're doing it if it fits your macros. They're eating a lot of foods that I would consider not healthy or not like clean. But they always end up regressing, gaining weight, like improper blood markers, things like that, because they're not prioritizing the health side of things. They're only prioritizing the fitness. So yes, you can get lean eating ice cream bars. There's a guy, I think like a researcher from Brown University, who only ate Twinkies for 30 days, but ate them within a caloric window and lost weight. But he also felt like hot dog shit. Like
I can't even imagine. I got a headache just when you said that, like that headache that when you have too much sugar, that's right here in the front, your frontal lobe. You're like, oh God, a
You can't
migraine level
think,
headache when you
stomach
said
hurts.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you just touched on it. It's blood work. So for me, it's like I could try it out, but it wasn't until I started doing blood work that things changed. And to be honest with you, it ebbed and flowed. The cholesterol went up, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the CAC calcium score test was 0. So there's no, and I've repeated this over the years, and it stayed 0 despite having all those quote unquote bad fats,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of it. I do understand for me, I have a pretty slow metabolism, and I've never been a big eater, even though I love food, but I can't sit down and eat a whole bunch at once. I never have been able to do that. And in fact, my husband and my best friend are always like, I don't understand. And they're super skinny. They're like, I don't understand how you don't eat the way that we do. And I'm like, it's genetics. It's just got to be genetics. Like I can't explain. But I know now that if I push through that I am full thing and continue to eat, it doesn't serve me. So overeat. So in a way, yes, of course, calories do matter. What the quantity of food that you eat matters.
For sure.
But the quality also really matters. So it's like both. And I guess that's kind of what I've learned. But I test it with markers, with blood work. And I also am a huge fan of the CGM if you really want to see it in action.
Yeah, for sure. I don't have a CGM, but I would do like the finger prick tests.
Yeah. It's very cool.
So I like to test stuff out like that and see how my body reacts. Test the blood sugar. If you're not sure what that means, CGM is continuous glucose monitor. So it's something you put on the back of your arm. You can track the body's responses to food, which is kind of a cool experiment to do. But getting into like the kind of like the eating small versus eating big. And also, I mean, like going back to like what we were talking about earlier, even it's like quality, like calories matter, obviously, but food quality matters too. And it's kind of a both and people hate a both and. We want it black and white. We want it to be one or the other. And I think that you have to live in the gray area if you want to be healthy in this environment. You have to like consider both things. You can't just train strength or just train mobility. You have to have both and. It can't be weights or cardio. It has to be both things. So you got to live in the gray a little bit. But
or that thing where you hear like I used to consider it like a bank, right? Mm-hmm. So if I do the step class, because we're talking about that, if I do the step class, as long as I do it 5 days a week and not 3 days a week, then I can eat these other calories and you feel like it's a bank. But now I know it's actually the dietary maintenance of staying healthy for me is completely separate from the fountain of youth that is exercise, cardio, strength, stretching, balance, all those things. They're actually separate, and it's not a bank where if I earn this over here, then I get to do that over there, like a system culture of reward behavior.
Yeah, you're not a dog. You don't get a treat for working out. No. I love that. I think that's a definite definite PTSD for a lot of us. Where it's totally. Like, well, you know, like I know a lot of people who are like, I'm going to go for a run because I want a blueberry muffin, and that's just another type of disordered eating.
I can have an extra glass of wine if I stay on the treadmill for 15 more minutes because that's the same number of calories. It's like, and people still say it to me now these days. And I'm like, I know, I got it. I was the same way. I don't say anything, but I don't tell everyone to F off, just my brother-in-law.
Okay. That's good.
Poor guy. You
gotta have at least one. That. Yeah. But it's, that's a tricky one to overcome for a lot of people.
It is.
And I think like, with coaching and things like that I see with clients, a lot of time the work isn't track your calories and exercise because people are already doing that. It's working through some of the emotional stuff that's keeping them in that pattern of reward system and like dopamine regulation.
It's 100% a game of your belief system, and you can only advance as far as you're willing to like take a look at how the negative beliefs are shaping everything. And that's true in business, that's true in parenting, that's true in relationships, that's true in health and fitness. I always say I can only grow my business in so much as I'm lifting my foot off the brakes of what my belief system thinks is possible. So if you're sitting here going, oh, I could never, if you're ever like, oh, I could never, take a look at that because there's some gold in there. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
My history with working out is similar to that. Like, so I was a victim of a home invasion when I was young.
I remember.
So I was inside and house got broken into. And I feel like a lot of my fear around the world and like my paradigm came from the fact that I didn't feel safe growing up. And so most of my training was this fear-based, not like hatred for myself, but the thought that I wasn't good enough as I was to protect myself. And so like I needed to be bigger, I needed to be stronger, I needed to have more tattoos, probably a beard, in order to be someone who no one could ever hurt
Maybe
again.
gray hair at 38.
Well, okay. This has been a great episode. I have to get going now. Get someone to help me with my self-confidence.
You know what's interesting is that we create these beliefs based on that's a scary experience that happened. And you internalized it as, if I get big and fit and I can scare them back, then somehow I could have prevented that from happening.
When save myself. Yeah.
Yeah. When and it's like, you have to be able to like have the wherewithal to recognize, no, I can't change that past. Even if I was huge, someone could still break into my house, and that's scary.
But now I can do jujitsu to him.
Well, that's true. That's true.
I'd be like, come, I'll be on the ground. People always think like, oh, you do jujitsu, you must want to get in fights. I'm like, no, my knees hurt too bad to get in fight. Are you kidding me? Like, I can't even turn my neck right now. I'm not trying to fight anybody. I'm a pacifist. But yeah, it's like, it wasn't until I was able to like identify that belief and then actually change my belief from like running away from this fear to running towards something good, that it became like a sustainable, like healthy, like positive habit in my life, where I wasn't just beating my body up just to exercise the demons. Put those bad boys on a treadmill, get them running.
I always say fear and anger are great motivators, but eventually you have to turn it into a pot. Like you said, you can't be running
100%.
from stuff or pissed off at stuff. You got to be going towards something positive that you want to gain. And another thing I always find too with this whole health and fitness thing, and I still think it from time to time, and I have to kind of laugh at myself, is like, you think, okay, well, if I just drop these like 5 more pounds, then I will have achieved my final form, and then I can just do whatever I want.
Yes.
No.
I can go back to eating blank.
And that's when you haven't done the work yet.
Correct.
When you think that, you're like, oh, nope. Actually, this is good. It's a practice. It's a lifelong practice.
And I feel like I can tell within 3 weeks of working with someone if they're going to get results, if they're ready for it. Because like, if I get that question, when will I be able to go back to eating normal again? I'm like, you missed it.
That's interesting.
You missed the whole thing.
That. People do ask you that.
Yeah. And I try to mansplain it to them.
You should always mansplain your answers, even if they didn't ask you.
Especially if they didn't ask. Excuse me, ma'am. I couldn't help but overhear your conversation, and I wanted to tell you something.
Excuse me, ladies.
People on airplanes hate this one trick. Excuse me. I was listening in.
Pulling their seat back and grabbing the hair while you do it. Ow.
Yeah, but you have to like do this out of love for yourself. Because if everything's out of like hate and anguish towards like your body, your imperfect form, that you're like, oh my God, I'm so this way. I got fat in my belly or whatever. Like you're never going to be able to keep the results, because you're always going to like be looking for that next thing, looking for that next hit, trying to figure out how to fix yourself. I see this a lot from like I've seen a couple of times people post on the internet where it's like, when I was 22, I thought I was fat. Then when I was 32, I thought I was fat. Now that I looked at pictures of myself as 22, I was like, oh my gosh, I was so hot and skinny. Then I was 42. I looked at my pictures of my 32 self and I was like, oh my gosh, she was beautiful. And we just never have a proper idea of how we actually look. I think everyone suffers from body dysmorphia in some capacity.
Absolutely. We don't know.
So until you actually love yourself enough to change, and this is just, man, I can't even believe I'm saying this. I sound like such a metaphysical bitch here, but
yeah, do it. Become Nate the metaphysical bitch.
So when you love yourself enough to change, that's when true transformation happens, and we can finally become at one with ourselves and the universe. But it's like, can you accept yourself as you are and still want better for yourself? Like that's the end goal.
That's the
easier said than done.
Easier said than done.
Yeah. But I think that's why
we enjoyed it. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Thanks a lot. You're taking my line. Now we have to talk for five more minutes.
Okay. I'd love to talk for 5 more minutes.
No, I think that was good. I think that if we go longer and start saying dumb stuff.
Oh,
yeah. I was going to talk about eating 6 meals per day. I was onto that kind of like that's some PTSD.
So did you come up with this? I mean, did you grow up?
I came up with
the
it.
6. You invented that? No, I mean, did you grow up with hearing the 6 meals a day thing?
Yeah, it revs your metabolic furnace.
Oh, your
I looked at a
metabolic
cadaver one
furnace.
time. You know what I didn't see? A metabolic furnace. Zero
No,
of them inside people's bodies. Weirdest thing.
no. That's
Yeah.
so. Or did it not help you on a cellular level?
So do you know where that came from?
No.
6 meals per day.
6
We
meals
talked
per
about
day.
metrics recently.
Yeah.
I can't remember which podcast. We've been podcasting for so long now.
For years.
But metrics came up with it. Like it's like the Zales diamond. Like you need to pay 3 months salary to buy a diamond engagement ring.
It's just a PR campaign to get you to do a thing.
Yeah, because they started buying protein, and they were like, you need 3 meals, 3 shakes, metabolic furnace, and so then that kind of caught on in popularity. And the only people who need to be eating 6 meals per day are people who are trying to gain as much muscle tissue as humanly possible. But if you eat 6 meals per day and you're eating rice and chicken, guess what? You feel like hot dog shit all day long. You just feel bad because your body's constantly digesting. That's not how we're built to.
You would be sluggish, right?
Yeah, super sluggish. You'd be building muscle, but like, do you want to feel bad the whole time?
But if you weren't lifting, would you be building muscle? Like if you were just like a lady like me
No.
who just no, I would just be eating chicken and rice all day long.
Yeah, horrible, gross.
Like a chooch.
Yeah, like a chooch. I was going to say the same thing. But like, if you eat the same thing in 3 meals per day, it's actually better because you're giving your body more chance to digest that food, get out of the digestion process, and get into autophagy, which is going to help you at the actual cellular level. So
I first learned about autophagy through reading, and you know how you mispronounce a word because you've only
autophagy.
read it?
Yeah,
autophagy.
I said the same thing.
It's autophagy, 100%. And then they're like autophagy. I was like, I don't. What word? Oh. I was saying that wrong. That's like I was back in the day. There was a clubhouse and there was a low carb coach in there, and I was in the room and he kept saying aspartame. And I was like, what is he saying? And then I was like, oh, aspartame.
People from the UK say aspartame.
He was American. But also, did you know that they've rebranded aspartame into amino sweet?
I kind of love it. That's a really good, strong rebrand.
So we're talking about getting fed by media, getting fed by, the conventional wisdom. They are undergoing that rebranding. Listen, the grapeseed oil people did a whole number on the smoke point of olive oil. People are still petrified of heating up olive oil because the grapeseed oil people it was late 90s to early 2000s did a whole thing on just have grapeseed oil because the smoke point's higher. You're going to have carcinogens if you heat up olive oil. And it's like, oh, really? Olive oil, the oil that has literally been in existence for millennia?
No, we like grapeseed. We like a heavily processed, mechanical lubricant.
My first draft of my first cookbook had a couple of recipes with grapeseed oil in it because I didn't know. I had to revise it.
Well, good for you for going back and doing that again.
Listen,
honey.
Listen. You want me to tell you about it?
Anna,
you can't mansplain a man.
You can. If you try hard enough. If you believe in yourself, you can mansplain
Let me
anything.
tell you how.
Let me tell you how the world works. Anna, you're the best. Always a pleasure.
You are. Thanks for having me.